Is Eddie Howe under pressure? Is he almost a victim of his own success? Because there's an argument to be made. They overachieved last season. I don't think anyone put them down as Champions League spot.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's really a difficult one, because when he took over and where they were, to get them in the Champions League, to get them in the top four, was a fantastic job. And he had all the plaudits, all the credits for turning Newcastle around and giving them European football, which they haven't seen for 20 years. And I think that Champions League took a lot out of them. It was a tough group, the group of death.
And it came down to the wire, it came down to the final day.
It did. And it does take a lot out of your Champions League football, because you're playing against the elite and you need the best. And you saw them in Milan, and literally they would run to the ground. They defended for their lives, and it kind of drained them out in the Premier League, and you started seeing their performances slip a little bit. But now, because they've had the taste of that, they're expecting to be there constantly. And the fans, football is fickle. If you're not competing, if you're not playing in Europe, if you're not in the top half of the top four, top six, where they were, then the boards are going to start making questions out. Do we need to change this to stay in that that pyramid, and the fans as well. So it's difficult. Yeah, he is of his own success. But is he the right man for the job? Of course he is. To try and get rid of someone who's turning your team around the way they have, I think it's unfair. But we've seen managers, go for a lot less.
Yeah,
it's a brutal industry.
Well, in terms of setting a high bar, your time at Aston Villa. I mean, you set the bar exceptionally high at Villa Park when you were there.
Well, that's very kind of you, Adam. Thank you very much indeed. I shall pay you later on for that. But, yeah, you're just talking about Aston Villa. They're going brilliantly now at this moment. But I agree entirely with Jermaine. I think that you talk about where Eddie Howe started off at Newcastle, and you've just mentioned yourself, Adam, was Champions League football on for the next season? Not really. Yeah, but once you've got there, that's the problem with it all. Then you have to maintain that.
That benchmark.
The benchmark. I also agree as well too about taking a lot out of the Champions League, but I think psychologically, as much as anything else, it took it out, because you started off the group so well. You're feeling it's almost, the second round is almost within your grasp. You're going to be playing Champions League football after Christmas, and then suddenly it just disappears from you. Then you pick up a couple of injuries, some of the main players as well too. Everybody gets injuries, so you can't maybe throw that up. But more to the point, I think there was a real lull after the Champions League, not really getting their league form together. And all of those things combine to put you under a bit of pressure. But like anything else, if you're asking me, I think he's done superbly.
Yeah, okay. But is he under pressure, though? He might have done superbly, there's no question.
Football is it's a result-based game.
Exactly.
If you're not getting results week in, week out, climbing that table, then, there's going to come a point where it starts getting a little bit hostile, it starts getting a little bit tense. It doesn't matter where you've taken the club, it's about result-based. So if you're not getting the results on the pitch, then yeah, of course you're going to start coming under pressure. But will they stick by you? That's what you want as your board from what you've done for the team. And like I said, they've had some key injuries. Newcastle haven't got a massive squad. They haven't got a squad like Man City where they can, few injuries doesn't matter because they've got depth. The Newcastle haven't got that. So when they lose key players, it hurts them. And they found that out.
It's just, I look at some of the games, the Luton game, you would have thought they would have won that comfortably at home because St James's Park and the crowd really get behind you. You both know what it's like there, better than I do. And then the last game before this against Bournemouth, skin of their teeth, they get a point from that fixture at home as well.
It can happen, Adam. It genuinely can happen. For the best will in the world, you think you're going out, you feel as if you've got the team absolutely prepared for the game, and suddenly it just falls away. Again, confidence is a major thing in the game. Really, sometimes you can't overestimate it. It's really, really strong. The side is that last season, Newcastle could have, stepped onto the field. They could have been a goal behind in the game, and the crowd, you felt as if the crowd was going to be right behind you. They're going to deal with it, and they generally did. They've lost a lot of games this season, games that they could have won but didn't do, and that's the difference. That's a major, obviously a major factor. Again, getting back to Jermaine's point, you know what? At the end of the day, I should remember myself, you're in the results business.
Yes, exactly. Let's take a look at something which he brought up in his interview, that they did start the second half well, and there's no question about it. With Arsenal scoring, you would say, at the right time. As I press play, we're also going to see the goal they scored. a looping header from Willock.
Yeah, this is the first time you've really saw Newcastle, get behind Arsenal. It was all too much in front of them. There was no winning runners. It was all Isaac was on his own. But now look, he's out wide. Willock's out wide. You got Gordon also trying to get into the box as well. Shot it. Could have done a little bit better. Hit the target. But again, before that, first off, it was all Isaac's isolated, getting bullied by Sleeper and Gabriel.
Bullied?
Literally bullied, yeah, because he was on his own. It was 2v1. But now look, they're trying to get behind. We didn't see that in the first half. And once they did that, they looked like a threat. And I thought at 2-0, all they needed is one goal. But like I said, obviously, Arsenal took their little foot off the gas. It was comfortable. And then as soon as they scored, they thought, no, we can't have this. And they put another gear back in and got that fourth goal.
You're looking onwards at the clip here, Martin, in almost in a quizzical manner.
No, and again, that's a goal when the game is well and truly over. They had a good spell, as we mentioned, even before Eddie Howe mentioned it, a good little spell just after half-time. Then that goal would have been very, very important for them if they'd got it. I just felt that Arsenal, having put so much into the game, closing down, I felt as if they just dropped off for just the start of the second half. And sometimes when you're in a dressing room, that break is something that you don't really want. You could continue on, but I think that Arsenal sensed the danger, that we need to maybe get the next goal. Doesn't always happen like that there, but they did get it. The third goal just killed the game completely then after that there, and Arsenal went back into comfort zone.
Are injuries an excuse, though? Because I can think of quite a few teams that have been beset by injuries this season. I mean, Arsenal have had a few, Manchester City, Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, they've had their injury issues. Liverpool, let's not forget, as well.
Listen, injuries are massive. When you lose key players, it's a big miss. But what we're seeing with these teams, Arsenal and Liverpool and Man City, that they've got depth. They can...
Well, I don't know. I mean, Liverpool were fielding kids yesterday.
But they've got depth. You don't play Salah. You've got Gakpo. You've got no Nunez. You've got no Jota. But you've got Diaz. You've got Arvieli. They've got a lot of depth. If midfielder's injured, you've got Gravenberch. They've got a lot of depth and a lot of top players that can come in. So...
Well, I mean... sorry, not yesterday. It was a few days ago, but... We can't say Conor Bradley was someone you could just bring in. He was an unknown.
Yeah, I know, but he's been since he came in for the past 4 games, he's been a standout player.
Now we can say that, but at the time
he's taking, Trent. I think Trent's looking over his shoulder now, thinking I've got competition at that right back spot. But what I'm saying with Newcastle, that they haven't got the squad depth of the top 4 teams. So when they get key players injured, they feel it a lot more. Because they are fielding literally kids and inexperienced players and fringe players. And in the Premier League, you will get found out. It will come back and hurt you. We've seen with Liverpool 2 seasons ago when they had no Van Dijk and how much of... and they had no backup. And then Joel Matip was injured and Henderson and Gomez was playing at centre-back. How much that hurt them. So, it's not an excuse, but it's a reason that it does impact, these lower teams.
I'm inclined to be with you, Adam, in the sense that, every team gets injuries. I take Jermaine's point, and some teams can cope with it a wee bit better. But you know what? No one cares. No one cares. That's the thing. No one cares. And actually, no one remembers either. So you have to deal with it. And you have, I remember when I'm at Leicester City, when some of the big, like Emile Heskey going out of the side for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, and you think, what are we going to do here? What? You just have to find another way, somewhere along the way, to try and deal with it. So this is it. Eddie Howe's had his problems with injuries, but you still have to come and deal with it because no one cares.
Yeah, that's right. The board don't care if you've got injuries; they care about the results.
And unfortunately,
it's cutthroat. And if you're not getting that results and the squad's not performing well, and there's not much really you can do about it. It's harsh.